Hi everyone! Happy New Year! It's January 1st, 2020, and I wanted to make a quick video to tell you about the Zen Your Work in 2020 challenge, which is going to be starting tomorrow at 1 p.m. with my kickoff webinar. Now, what is the Zen Your Work in 2020 challenge? Well, essentially, it is a free month-long challenge that you can opt into where we're going to explore and really utilize different mindfulness techniques to help you with different aspects of your work experience. You're going to get new ideas and tips and tricks every single working day. You get the weekends off, so you get a little bit of extra time, and we're going to cover a variety of topics. And I wanted to just make this preview video to tell you what to expect and how to get involved in it. So if you're interested in signing up, the first thing you want to do is head over to zenworkplace.com, which is what you see on the screen here. And what you want to do is just scroll down, and there's a few steps. There's a couple of steps. The first thing you need to do is join the new Zen Your Work community. I launched this a couple weeks ago. This is something I've been wanting to do for a really long time. I'm so excited about it. It is completely free to join the community. When you click on that link, you're going to be brought to a page that looks a little bit like this. It's going to give you some idea of what I'm doing with the community. Essentially, I really just want to make a place for people to come and explore different topics related to the work experience, making work better, how to be better managers, how to be better leaders, how to use mindfulness techniques in a really highly practical way, and people who are really interested in doing the work required to really cultivate a really great professional experience. So you're going to want to join the community. It's super easy. Once you do, you're going to be logged in and you're going to see this little homepage. Now, in order to join the Zen Your Work Challenge, this is actually going to be a group within the community. So again, it's a couple extra steps, I know, but it's pretty easy. What you want to do is head over here to groups, and you're going to see Zen Your Work in 2020. Just click the Join Us button and you'll be in the group. And this is where all the good stuff is going to take place. This is where you're going to get different assignments and exercises and different ideas and different videos to help you apply the techniques we're going to talk about. The other thing you want to do is that to really kick off the challenge, I'm going to be doing a free webinar tomorrow, January 2nd at 1 p.m. to explain the challenge, provide you with some foundational techniques that are going to underpin everything we're going to explore, and to give you an idea of what the challenge is going to look like. So if you want to get to that webinar, there is actually information about it in the community, but the other place is to go back to zenworkplace.com, click on this button right here, join the free webinar. You're going to be brought to this webinar sign-up screen, register. Easy peasy, you're going to be added to the list. Now, some of you might not be available tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. I am on the East Coast. So if that's the case, don't worry. I want you to register for the webinar anyway. And what I'm going to do is send out a video of the recording following the webinar so you can catch up on it. I'm also going to be posting it in the community, in the group, so you're going to have that resource available to you. But if you sign up and register for it, even if you know you can't attend, you're going to get an email when that recording is live. So make it super easy. Now, I want to do a little bit of a preview. So why would you want to sign up for this? What topics are we going to cover? What does it even mean to Zen Your Work? Well, for me, the topic of Zenning your work is all about knowing that you are in control. You have so much more power than you realize to create a really personally fulfilling work experience. The philosophy that I have always had is that we spend so much time at work. There is no reason that we shouldn't have a great experience while we're there. But so often we get in our own ways of creating that experience, or we give way too much power to the people that we should not be giving power to. At the end of the day, this is all about using different techniques. That's about playing mind games with yourself, for lack of a better term. And really, it's all about the stories you're telling in your head, because our responses, how we behave in any situation, is based on how we're framing it in our head. So we're going to be looking at different techniques to make sure you're telling the right stories, making sure you know what your goals are, making sure you know what your trajectory is, and how to best get yourself to those places without worrying about all the other nonsense that takes place in the office. So what are we going to cover in the challenge? Well, I've got 4 weeks built out. They aren't exact weeks, but just because of how the calendar works out, but they're pretty close. The very first thing we're going to talk about is knowing what your goals are for 2020. Listen, if we don't know what we're shooting for, if we don't know what direction we're going in, then it becomes really hard to make decisions that are going to serve our professional experience. So the very first thing we're going to do, and this is a truly advanced sneak preview because I haven't actually, this is something I'm going to release tomorrow, is you're going to get this little worksheet. We're going to talk about this in the webinar. We're going to talk about it in the group. And I want you to pick out a big personal goal for yourself. A personal goal is different than something you might be evaluated on in regards to like your performance review or something your boss wants you to do. This is something you want to do. And it can be related to any aspect of your work experience. It could be taking on more responsibility at work, going for that big promotion, going for that raise, getting a new title, transitioning into a new role. It could be leading your organization through a really big project or initiative. It could be finding that next great job. It could be building better relationships with those really difficult colleagues. Whatever your big goal is, whatever you think is going to serve your work experience the most, that's what we're going to talk about here. And don't worry, if you don't know exactly what that is or how to frame it, that's something that I'm going to help you out with. Other things we're going to think about in regards to this goal is not only what you want to do, but why is it important? We need to know our why. Why are we going after things? Why are we expending time and energy doing these things? What is it going to mean for us? In order to do that, we're going to think about how would achieving this goal make you feel. Human beings are driven by emotions, the experiences that we have in the world, inside work, outside work, wherever. Those experiences are driven by our emotions. And so we can help facilitate the emotions we want to have by thinking about them before you ever even start making progress towards your goal. Now, in order to facilitate this, I have a note on here to Google an emotion wheel to help you out. Sometimes it's really hard to identify what emotions we specifically want to have, and so this is a really helpful tool. I've got a couple versions here. This is actually one of my favorite emotion wheels that allows us to kind of identify different words and think about the meanings of those words in regards to our experience. The Gento Institute emotion wheel, that's my favorite one. Something I also like is thinking about moving up the emotional ladder. Here are a couple different emotion ladders that could be useful. So if you're going into work every day feeling things like frustration or irritation or patience, maybe our goals is just to move you a little bit up the ladder, to start get you feeling contentment or start you feeling hopefulness, or maybe even, God forbid, experiencing passion, joy, appreciation, empowerment, freedom, all those things. So these are tools to help you out when you're identifying different emotions related to your goal. Last couple things we're going to talk about are thinking about some first steps that you can take to move towards that goal, and really acknowledging that there are probably other things going on, things you need to keep in mind and keep balanced to make sure you can still do the things you need to do at work. All right, so that's a little sneak preview of week 1. Going back to our topics, in week 2, we're really going to focus in on confidence building. And listen, I'm not going to front. If you're having challenges with confidence, and most people do, it's probably going to take longer than a week for you to overcome those challenges. This is, for some people, for most people actually, it's a lifelong process. But I am going to give you tools to at least get you started looking at things in a different way. In week 3, we're going to work into one of the most challenging topics that I work with people with, and that's learning how to work well with those difficult colleagues who seem really hell-bent on making your life miserable or not doing what you want them to do or all those things. There are different techniques you can use to soften those relationships and maybe even dream about building better ones. So we're going to talk about that. Lastly, I think this is always important to do at the beginning of the year. We're going to talk about cultivating work-life balance and some steps you can take to do that. So I hope you'll join me. I'm really excited. I think it's going to be a fun time. There are lots of people registered for the webinar. I hope we can get everyone into the group, in the community, because that's really where all the action is going to be. But listen, your first step, if you just want to know a little bit more about it, just register for the webinar. And then you can at least learn about how I apply mindfulness techniques at work, and you can decide if this is something for you or if it's just not your cup of tea. And if you find it's not your thing, hey man, no harm, no foul. Maybe you still sign up, you get a couple interesting tips and tricks, you meet some new people. Maybe you choose, not to opt out of it entirely. You know, who knows? I hope you opt in though. I think it's going to be great. And the webinar tomorrow will give you a really great preview of what that is. So, I hope to see you there.